about the services. So how do we create a service? So how do we create a service? ng-gs and the services. What are the files that have been created when, what are the files that have been created when you are using the services? It is
two files.
File and
TS file.
TS file. Okay. So now, so we learned that services follow a singleton pattern. So services are following a singleton pattern here. That is, only one instance of the service will be executed for a number of components. And these services, they are based upon the dependency injection pattern, or you can just call it as design pattern. So they are following dependency injection design pattern. Okay, and the next part of it, we also saw what is the other things we just saw here in this part of it. So once you create a service, you need to inject that particular service into a component. So what you need to do here, you need to import that particular service into the component. So after this part of it, what exactly we have learned, we just saw that there will be dependencies of the services for the objects. It may be for the class which need to perform certain functions, or we can just one more thing is, we created a service, and with the help of a service you can make HTTP request calls and response, request and a response. You can just go ahead with using HTTP request and to the response to the endpoint. What is this endpoint here? So this endpoint is nothing but it is the API. So the endpoint is nothing but it is the API. So now what exactly is happening to identify the thing? So now Angular is a front-end application. So now the thing is, you need to access the API. So to access the API, the API is the backend part of it. So now, as a front-end developer, you will not be in a position to write the API part of it. Did you learn Bootstrap? That is, what is that? Did you work on microservices and Spring Boot?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Oh, ma'am.
You did not have any training on that part of it?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So I'll just give you an example. Now, you are using Angular here. So you are just using Angular. So it is a front-end development. Okay, so now when you are able to design, you are able to get the data. So now part of it is, I just wanted to display the weather forecast. So I just wanted to display, I'm just giving you an example. I just wanted to display the weather forecast in of 2 days in your application. So you want, so you just want the weather forecast. Okay, so you want a weather forecast to be displayed in your application. At the same time, you want to have one sort of API which will help you to convert the currency. So you want, so you want a currency converter. So let us assume that in your application, you want a weather forecast and as well as the currency converter here. So now, will you be able to write that how exactly is the weather forecast of today? So that part of the code, which may be an API part of it, which has been written in different languages. So generally for Angular, you can use Java. So for the backend part of it has been developed in Java. So for the APIs, they're generally using Spring Boot and microservices. If it is .NET, they're using MVC architecture. They're writing the web services in .NET, and there are REST APIs. And then PHP also, they're writing the REST APIs. So it depends upon the backend are in Python, they're writing the REST APIs. So it depends upon what sort of applications that they are developing. So now let us just take the weather forecast. So I'll just show you one example here. So now I just wanted the weather. Okay. So I'll just tell. So you can just see here for the weather forecast API web service, there is one web service. You can just see this part of it. If I just go here. So you can just see this API's JSON result structure. Okay, so you can see that this is the weather forecast. So there are few are there for free. You can just download for free and you can implement it. And few are there where you need to purchase the APIs. Okay. So now let us just take this date and time in weather API. So this is an API for the weather forecast, which you can just look into this particular data. Okay, so this is in the JSON format. So you can just use this. Okay, so this is in the JSON format. So this part of the thing. Now what exactly happened is you will be able to see only this part of it for the weather forecast. Okay, so now taking this particular data, that is location, and you have this the data whatever is available in the format of JSON, you need to import this into your means you need to create a service and call this particular API within your services. So similarly, you have this that is what I can say is the APIs which you get, you cannot say that all the APIs are there in only JSON format, that is JSON format. It may be having even XML format also. Okay, now most of them are in APIs are there in JSON format, but they may be also in the form of Excel, that is a XML format. I'll just show you one of the free web service which is available, and which one example which I am trying to focus on it and just show it to you. It is okay, I'll just tell what it is. JSON. Okay, JSON placeholder. Okay, this is the one JSON placeholder type code. Okay, so you can, for your practice, you can just use this particular URL. Okay, it is JSON placeholder type code. Okay, you can use this. It is a free fake REST API. Okay, so you can just get the REST APIs here. So this is a placeholder which you can use it for just to practice it. You can just use this particular URL, JSON placeholder.typecode.com. So you can just test it with this. So now if you can just see this part of it is here, run this code here in a console or in the form of any website. So what exactly he is doing is there are many APIs which he has written. One among this is Todos. Okay, so this is the one placeholder type code where your API is there. So API, the name of the API Todos / this is the parameter what he is going to pass it. So based upon the parameter what he is going to pass, you're getting the response. So the response what you're getting, it is in the form of JSON format. So I'm just running the script. You can just see that when he is passing one, he's getting the user ID, title, and completed for. So this is the data which is there. So you are requesting it, then it has been responded in the form of a JSON. So this is the API which is there, and the path of that particular API is being written in this part of the one. So I'll just show you, there are few of the other placeholders. So now you can just see the resources here. So there are JSON placeholder comes with a set of 6 common resources. That is, you have posts, you have comments, albums, photos, Todos, and users. So what they have done is, these are the 6 APIs which they have given, fake APIs they have created, and they have given for the public to practice it. So that is this is not the actual API, it is a fake API with some data and some this thing. So you can use any of these 6 APIs for your practice. So now your role is, as a front-end developer, you are going to develop only the Angular part of it. So now you wanted to, from the Angular application, from the front end, you wanted to retrieve something. So for example, let us just take that I want to retrieve the information of a product. So I want the product details and I click on the product. Okay, so to get the product details, when you click on the product, a service is API is being written. Okay, so that part of the API is being developed, how to retrieve the data. When I click on the button, that product, the API is being written in such a way that because it should get connected to the database, from the database, it should try to retrieve the information and then send it to the front end part of it. So that portion of it is being done by your backend developers. So what you are supposed to do is, the backend developers will develop the APIs. You need to identify which API that you need to call and what is that it should be displayed. So what you are doing is, you are giving that particular API, you are utilizing that API in your project, and then you are trying to retrieve the information and display it. So now for time being, you can use any of these resources. I'm just using this particular resource, users, so that when I click on this, you can see this is the structure of this API. So this is what is the information that that the backend developers have written and they have given it to you. So you need to just go through this particular API and what is that you want to display in the front end part of it. So now I will call, this is the URL of that particular API. I'm using this URL. Okay, in this particular URL, I just want only to display the names. Okay, whatever you want, you can just display. I'm just considering that I want to display the names. So what I'll do is, I'll just use this particular URL. I'll just show the program. I'm using this particular URL, and then I'm trying to retrieve this information. So how many are there? So all the names I'm trying to display. You can just see the names. I'm trying to get the information about the names. Okay, so this is the one which I am using it. You can use any of the 6, anything you can just use. For example, post. If you click on this, this is the information, the user ID, title, body of that particular post. So these are the properties that have been declared within the post API. So now if you just click on albums. So in album, you have this, the title of the album. And if it is photos, so you have album ID, title, the URL of that particular photos, and thumbnail URL. So this is how the structure is. You can try all these things and you can test it. Okay.